Hey, I'm Eric with RevMatchTV, and I am here at SEMA 2019, and guess what? I found another Supra, but this one doesn't look modified at all. In fact, all these damn Supras are the same, and you know what I hate about the Supra? They have this crappy automatic transmission. Toyota definitely should have made one with a manual. Oh my... What? This is the world's first 6-speed swapped manual Supra. And we're going to talk to Art, who is the dude behind this magical swap that I think Toyota should have given us in the first place. Okay, so Toyota, they did not give us a manual transmission, but you have. What was your idea behind this whole project?
So no manual transmission for the A90 Supra. A lot of newer sports cars are not coming out with manual transmissions. The cost to develop the manual is just too much and the demand isn't there. For car manufacturers to actually do it, they have to crash test each variant of a vehicle that they produced, so it's just not cost effective. For a smaller company like us, we know that there's a demand for manual transmissions, and guys and enthusiasts that want to drive a manual, we want to have that option out for them. Originally, CarBuzz reached out to me and said, hey, you know what, it's official, Toyota's not going to produce a manual A90 Supra. So we went out and acquired one that same evening, and then we basically just started the project. So here we are, our 2020 Supra manual here at SEMA.
And how long did this project take you to do from the time you got the car?
So we had the car for about a month and a half. All the parts were ordered OEM from BMW. It took about 2 weeks to get stuff from Germany. But other than that, it was about 3 week process to actually get the car rolling and get it out on the road. But there was a lot involved, and we had to pull the transmission out, I think about 12 times, which was, well, now we can do it in 15 minutes, which is the cool thing. But yeah, it was quite the trip.
Yeah, you've got a whole series of videos on the details of the swap and how you've been, doing it.
Yeah, we have 4 videos on our channel, European Auto Group. You can check us out, part 1 through 4. We basically go through the build, so check it out.
So in terms of doing the swap, what's been the most challenging part so far?
Honestly, I think the most challenging thing was matching up the transmission to the engine block. We noticed that the input shaft was slightly larger on the diesel transmission that we used, so the input shaft was actually rubbing on the flywheel, so we were having a hard time getting it into gear. And that's why we needed to pull the transmission several times, because we needed to figure out what was actually happening. And we're going to develop it's actually a 3mm spacer that we need to develop and put right in between the transmission and the engine block to make it function properly.
Okay, so it's just a little too tight.
Just a little too tight.
Right. And so in terms of the drive shaft itself, that's a little bit too short, like the way set up for the factory, right?
So the drive shaft, we needed to extend about 3 inches. BMW did not have anything that we could just order off the shelf to match. So these drive shafts that come from BMW, they are friction welded. So we had to send it off to a specialty drivetrain shop in Houston to get that done.
You've driven the car, you drove it around the block basically before getting it to SEMA, so it
didn't have much time. It runs and drives. Didn't have much time to drive it. Which was kind of a bummer because the transporter was there, so we had to get it on the truck. But yeah, I mean, I'm really eager to get it back home and then just do some more tuning to it and stuff, and kind of add a little bit more power and just get this thing on the road and drive it.
Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, this is something that the enthusiasts have been asking for ever since the beginning of the car's announcement. And then there's a collective when BMW and Toyota basically said, well, there's going to be no manual, right now. Right. I think it's really great that they're encouraging the aftermarket, and I know they haven't been encouraging specifically this kind of work, but I think it's awesome that you guys are out here and actually, you've done the work and you've done the swap.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are bummed about the whole BMW-Toyota partnership, but I honestly think that was probably a good move for them. The B58 platform, BMW has, their inline 6 is a solid platform. They've been, great engines for a long time. I mean, even from the 08 and up, from the 135 pushing 600, 700, 800 horsepower was never really an issue with these cars. So I mean, I think it's a great platform, to start. So,
and if hypothetically they had done a V6 or a V8 or something like that from the Toyota family of engines, you really wouldn't have a lot of options for doing a swap because there really isn't a transmission that would kind of bolt up. So
and the programming and coding was already there. So
yeah. So Yeah, in terms of like the ECU and the programming and stuff, like that's got to be a bit of a challenge to make that work, because the engine and transmission combination coming from the factory is obviously designed to work together, and now you've given it something that is like, what is this?
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, from a tuning standpoint, BMW is pretty good with that. So I mean, just getting our hands on Deimos files and being able to read all the ECU mapping and stuff, it's there. You know, programming the BDC and stuff like that to get it to accept a manual transmission. I mean, obviously BMW has manual cars out there, so I mean, a lot of the ECUs and computers, I mean, everything's pretty much, it's all set up for it. It's just a matter of making the computers think what you want it, you know, to think. So
right. So this is not the first manual swap that you guys have done. Tell me a little bit about, you know, your history and what you're doing at European Auto Group, or what you've done so far.
So I mean, pretty much we started off as just a high-end exotic repair shop. You know, just one day something triggered, you know, the manual transmissions are kind of falling off. So we were like, you know, I'm a manual kind of guy, love driving manual. My daily driver's an M4, it's a manual, and I won't give it up. I had an M2 DCT before that, had it for about 3 months, got boring, so traded in for the M4. But yeah, we did a 6-speed manual conversion on a Ferrari F430, which later became the blue Lancer Stratos with the 6-speed manual transmission that probably most of you guys have seen online. Then right after that
hang on a second. So let's back up there. You just said something really significant. So the Lancia Stratos that we're seeing in the Isumi videos from Jason Camisa, you're telling me that car is the basis for the Stratos, and that was the car that you guys did the swap on?
Yes, so Jason Camisa and he sent me the VIN number to the car, which just from seeing the pictures of the Stratos when it was at the Geneva Auto Show, I was looking at the way that the clutch pedal was set up and everything, and kind of the casting marks on the clutch pedal. I was like, that's our car. And then later, Jason Camisa actually confirmed it with the VIN number that was the car, that was the red F430 that we converted that went to Italy, that later became the Lancia Stratos that came to the States.
Wow. And so how many F430s have you done so far at the conversion?
So at the moment, we have 8 total that we're doing. I believe we're on our 6th or 7th one, I think, right now. It's kind of hard to keep track. We're just kind of putting them out there. But yeah, we also did the 430 Scuderia, and that is the only 6-speed manual 430 Scuderia on the planet, and that car is absolutely wicked. I mean, it's an amazing.
So, all right, so this is the 6-speed manual. This looks very much like a BMW knob here. You need to go with like an M knob at some point, you know, but...
Well, we do want to do a concept knob with the flip-up switch. And then we're going to change the sport button and have the sport button up here, which
nice.
A lot of people thought it was going to be a pretty cool idea. So we may go with that.
Right. So I see you haven't actually done a lot of changes in here. You've really kept most of this pretty stock. This looks like a special piece here, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it's just kind of concept phases right now. We just kind of wing this at the shop for now until we can actually get it 3D printed or CNC, you know, billet aluminum. But yeah, we actually did have to move this down and cut this out so that we can, you know, get it into all the gears.
Right, but it seems like you got pretty lucky with the placement of where the actual, you know, shift linkage is to the lever, you know, in terms of the car. Did you have to do, you know, is there any special linkage beneath this?
So the linkage it's from an M240i. We did have to extend the linkages about 2 inches. Originally, we thought that we were going to have to move the HVAC unit and maybe cut this back a little bit. But I mean, it honestly, it doesn't get in the way. The navigation controls are, you know, in a perfect spot. And honestly, you know, when you're shifting and you have your hand on here, you know, I mean, you shouldn't be resting your hand on the shift knob anyway. You got this nice little, you know, little knee guard here you can put your hand on.
I mean, so just, you know, in terms of the positioning here, this feels like it fits pretty, you know, this is in the right spot. I can shift
your
it.
Hand's not hitting the HVAC unit. I mean,
not even close. Yeah, I mean, I can, you know, so I can do this, no problem. It's positioning is really good. This feels really comfortable. 3 pedals. Obviously, you got to do a little bit something with the footrest over here because that's a little bit in the way, but I'm sure you guys are going to figure out that and work on that.
So that piece actually just kind of bolts up to the carpet there. It's not even fastened really to anything. So if you pull the carpet back, it's pretty much stationary on the carpet. So we want to kind of cut it back and maybe even 3D print a new one out of ABS plastic and just kind of shorten it up a little bit so it's more comfortable to shift.
Right. So, you know, in terms of getting the pedal box in here, that's got to be a bit of a challenge. You know, does it seem like BMW/Toyota had thought about doing something with a pedal box in the manual, or did you have to do a lot of work and some welding or anything to sort of get that in?
We did have to make a custom bracket to actually fit the pedal box in there. If you look at the real OEM.com diagrams, the Z4 doesn't have a manual pedal box, so we had to take it out of another car and then fabricate it a couple things here and there. But yeah, I mean, everything's pretty modular on this car, which we found very surprising. And just being a BMW platform in general, we're actually finding that it's pretty simple to work on. So,
all right. So the actual transmission, what car does this come from? Because I heard earlier that there was an issue with the starter motor, being sort of in the wrong place for this.
So basically, all the U.S. cars, all the U.S. spec cars, like the M240i and some of the other BMWs, they seem like they do have manual transmissions available, but the starters are located at the bottom of the intake manifold. The B58C that's in the Supra is the starter is actually located at the bottom of the bell housing. So the only option we really had was a G30, a BMW G35 series transmission out of Europe. Believe it or not, they do build a 2.0 four-cylinder diesel 5 series there. That's a manual, which is kind of astonishing. I mean, but Europeans love their manual cars, so we were able to import that transmission from Europe. The only kind of hurdle, but not really a hurdle, is that the gearing is taller in that diesel transmission. So our first gear, it tops out at 43 miles an hour. Our second gear is 78 miles an hour. The only way we can really match the 8-speed automatic performance is if we got rid of the 315 final drive and switched it out with a 410. But honestly, just looking at the gearing and getting the power up to close to about 800 wheel horsepower, this car is actually capable of 220 miles an hour, between 215 and 220 miles an hour.
Wow. Yeah. Sort of getting into the debate of, manual versus automatic transmissions, it's pretty clear that we're in a world of automatics right now, and, from a pure performance standpoint, from a number standpoint, it's always going to be better at this point with an automatic. But when I go to the track, maybe it's old school, I time my corners, I downshift, I brake, I see my braking point, I downshift, and that's sort of how I set up my rhythm for the track. Right. I found when I go to the track with an automatic, I'm kind of a little bit thrown, like I'm not quite sure what to do because it's so ingrained in me, like I heel toe, I downshift, and there's my corner. So
right.
Having that manual is just something sort of comforting, and maybe I'm a little bit old school about that.
Yeah, but that's true. And actually, an interesting piece of information. So, I mean, we've driven Circuit of the Americas several times in different cars, with the DCTs, with the manuals, and having the Scuderia out, the gated Scuderia out at the Circuit of Americas, when you're on that back stretch before turn 12, I mean, you're into it. Right before you're braking, before that last corner, and I mean, I'm in 5th gear, and it doesn't take me anything but to brake and then go from 5th gear to 2nd gear and be able to apex and take that corner. With the DCT cars, what I noticed was even if you double tap, I mean, you're still trying to change 3 or 4 gears because most of those cars are 7 or 8 speed automatics. Mm-hmm. You're trying to get down into that range and then pull out of that corner. It actually seems like it takes a little bit longer, to be honest with you, and you don't really get that feeling and that comfort level like you would in a manual car. But I mean, I don't know. That may just be me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it. I'm just not as... Honestly, I've driven manual on track exclusively. I haven't driven automatic / DCT on track nearly as many days. Yeah. So I don't have that comfort level yet. Hey, I'm old school. We're not, the youngest guys on the planet.
Right.
But we're not the oldest either. So yeah, I think it's this is like a really, really interesting, cool project. You're obviously getting a lot of attention, for doing this. So you're going to make this available to consumers
starting in
January. Nice. So where is your shop located?
So we're in San Antonio, Texas, pretty much in the middle of the country. So it kind of makes things easier. So if somebody wants to ship their car from the East Coast or the West Coast, it's anywhere from $700 to $1,000, each way. So it kind of makes things convenient instead of shipping from one side of the country to the other.
Cool. Well, this is awesome. Well, hey, thanks for getting this thing going, getting the manual going in the Supra. I know Toyota's probably not going to do it, is my guess. So this is super awesome that you have done this. And where can they find you if they're interested in doing the swap?
Yeah, so if you guys want to check us out, we're on Instagram, Gated6 on Instagram, EAGSATX on Instagram, and then also on YouTube, European Auto Group. Check us out, like and subscribe. And Eric, thanks for coming by. It was a pleasure.
Hey, thanks.
This guy's awesome. Keep checking out his videos.
So can I maybe be the first guy to drive this thing?
Potentially. I mean, we have a whole line of people, but yeah, I mean, for sure. Maybe we could do like a whole YouTuber thing, and everybody just comes out and we'll rent the racetrack or something, and kind of go out. And
that would be
time.
awesome.
So.
All right, so yeah, subscribe. Go check out him. There's a couple videos up on here on screen if you want to click one of those. My name is Eric. I'll see you in the next video.
Take care, guys.